Fire and Frost by Alicia Rades. Chapter 10. This isn't working, I complained. My mom and I had cleared a space in the break room and were sitting cross-legged on the floor. It had been nearly 20 minutes of dead silence and darkness, all while focusing on my fingers to clear my mind. I didn't feel anything. My mom was trying to get me to open my mind so that I could do better, use my abilities. But I didn't feel any shift in energy or divine enlightenment. How's this supposed to help me become a better psychic? My mother didn't move from her meditative position and spoke in a calm voice. The best way to contact the other side is to clear your mind. This was a horrible first lesson. I had done all I could to relax my body, but I didn't feel any more psychic than when I entered the room. It takes time, she informed me. Meditation gave my mind too much time to wander. Mom, how can all of you, Sophie, Diane, and you, be psychic? Isn't it super rare? She finally shifted and pulled herself up from the floor, flipping the light on. She took a seat next to me. Yes, it is very rare, but we found each other. How? I asked. At college. Somehow we just ended up together and eventually shared our secrets. She smiled at the memories. It was like fate. We even called our little group the Sensitive Society because we all had abilities. Together, we learned how to use them. So that's why you moved here and started this shop, because you were all psychic. Pretty much. But why Peyton Springs? Well, Sophie grew up here. We thought it'd be a great place to raise kids. Plus, it's a good place for business. Why? Sophie's family moved here a long time ago. So there's a lot of psychic blood in the area. Lots of people come for our more special products. Special products? I asked warily. Yeah, like the real deal. Things that real psychics would use. Suddenly, their extra back room full of herbs made sense. Mom, if you're psychic and I'm psychic, was Grandma psychic? She scoffed. No, your grandma wasn't psychic. My grandma was psychic, but it skipped a generation with my mom. And you thought it skipped a generation with me. Does it always do that? Not always, she answered. Sometimes it skips a generation. With some generations, ability can manifest more powerful than normal. She pressed her lips together in thought. I didn't care to ask more questions because I had already had enough to think about. I had sat in this room on the hard floor long enough. I shifted and stood. Can we have a break, Mom? Maybe we can do this some other time this week. We returned home, my crystal ball in my hands, and decided to have macaroni and cheese for lunch. I'll stand here and make sure you don't burn the water, and you can make sure I don't add salt to the noodles. I teased as we prepared our lunch. We both moved around the kitchen in sync. For some reason, I felt a deeper connection with my mother. Perhaps it was the bond that we now shared with our abilities. Even if I wasn't sure what I was capable of yet, our macaroni and cheese wasn't terrible. Mom and I spent some time surfing the internet for wedding ideas, and then I took the rest of the day to finish cleaning my room. When I felt confident in my new pristine space, I crossed my legs and tried meditating again. Plopping myself down at the foot of my bed, I attempted to open my mind. But I didn't know what I was searching for. Should I try contacting Olivia? Is that a good idea to do on my own? Maybe I could look into my future. Yep, fortune and fame for sure. I laughed at myself. I don't even want fame. A good fortune would be nice, though. Once my mind started to wander too far, I gave up on my attempts to meditate. When I looked up, I noticed the crystal ball sitting on my desk. I pulled it down and placed it next to me on the floor and pretended to look into it. but since I didn't know what to look for, I didn't see anything, and it didn't glow. How will I ever learn to use my abilities? I gave up. Exhausted and crawled under the covers, I twirled my owl pendant around my fingers until I fell asleep. On Monday morning, I met up with Emma, straight on time. I expected her to ask about the engagement, but she didn't say anything. Emma, are you okay? She didn't answer, but rather kept her head low as she watched her feet pound against the pavement. Emma, I prodded, concern in my thick voice. What? She looked up at me, dazed. Yeah, you okay? Yeah, I'm fine. Why? Don't you want to know about Mom and Teddy? Oh, is there something more to tell? No, I guess not, I admitted. But Teddy gave me this. I held out my owl pendant to her. She glanced at it and then looked back at her feet. Pretty. I was wondering what was going on with Emma. Something was clearly bothering her. I went through my day in a typical state of complete boredom. Having to do worksheets and read textbooks on my own did not interest me. So I took this opportunity to work on my abilities. I started out small, calming my body through meditation while focusing on different people in the classroom. Now that I knew what I was looking for, knowledge came easy to me. By the end of the day, I knew that Mr. Hall would win $500 at the casino this weekend, but would spend $1,000. I knew where Miss Graham had lost her good pair of glasses, which were behind the Lucky Charms in the cupboard. And I knew that Lori, the librarian, lied to students about her age. She was actually 52, not 45. I thought a lot about Olivia, too. Would she try to contact me again? Would I be able to help her? What could she possibly want? I found my seat next to Emma and Derek at lunch. Emma was the one shifting through her potatoes today. You okay? Derek asked Emma. I shook my head at him, warning when she didn't hear him. I knew I shouldn't have done that. But when Derek left to dump his tray, I opened my mind and relaxed my body, focusing on Emma. The noise in the cafeteria made it difficult to figure out what was bothering her. So I knew exactly what had happened before Derek returned to his seat. I stared wide-eyed at Emma, unable to believe what I had just seen. She didn't notice me staring. When Derek started talking, I returned to the present and continued our conversation. Derek started nervously, changing the subject. What are you dressing up as for the Halloween festival? I almost didn't want to deal with this because I was too focused on Emma. But I didn't want to get too far into her business. I needed to give her some time till she was ready to tell me herself. I tore my mind off her and looked into Derek's bright blue eyes as an anchor. I shrugged. I don't have any ideas yet. My mom has a box of costumes, so I guess I'll find something to wear in there. What are you going as? Well, I was kind of thinking. He glanced out at her straight, avoiding my gaze. Maybe if you didn't have a costume idea, we could do a type of duo thing. Or something. He paused. I don't know. I thought it'd be creative. What about Emma? I asked, glancing at her, yet she was still on her base. Yeah, sure. We could go for some sort of trio thing. We could go to my mom's shop before the game tomorrow and pick something out, I suggested. Derek dropped his shoulders. I had to babysit my twin sisters before the game tomorrow because my mom has an appointment and my dad will be working. How about we check out the costumes before the game on Thursday? Sounds great. Emma, Derek tried, attempting to get her attention. Huh? What? She replied, looking up. Want to go pick out costumes for the festival on Thursday night? Yeah, sure. Sounds like fun. Emma was not at the top of her game at volleyball practice. I knew exactly why, but I didn't want to say anything. Emma needed her space, and how would she react if I told her I was psychic? I thought she'd believe me, but I didn't think she needed that right now. Maybe I'd tell her tomorrow when the weight of the world wasn't hanging on her shoulders. Call the ball, girls, Coach Amy yelled when Emma made another mistake. It was certainly not her day. When I arrived at home, I immediately went to my mother. Do you think I should say something? Crystal, I think if Emma wanted you to know, she would have told you. But she's so down about it, Mom. I want to help. Just give her some time. I knew my mom was right. You shouldn't have been snooping around anyway. I just wanted to know what was bothering her, I defended. If you do stuff like that, she's going to have a hard time trusting you. Do you know that for a fact? I challenged. I know that if Emma wanted you to know, she would have told you. That's all I'm saying. I crawled into my bed, cursing my mother for being right. I curled up into a small ball, feeling guilty for using my talents to figure out why Emma was upset. My mom was right. That was private. And I had abused my abilities. That was Chapter 10 of Fire and Frost by Alicia Yates. I hope everybody has a good day.